Grenoble's involved in two work packages. Firstly, the work package we're looking at vulnerability and young people, and in particular the gender dimension, as is in one of my key areas of interest. We're looking at the extent to which youth policies take into account gender gaps. Now, often policies aimed at young people treat young people as a kind of a homogeneous group. But what we've found with previous work we've done is that gender gaps open very quickly once young men and women leave school. So even though they might enter the labour market more or less at the same rate, the nature of the jobs they enter in and the quality of the careers, the quality of the further training that follows means that gaps open up very quickly. And then if you add on the additional layer of unequal division of family responsibilities, women's propensity to take time out, etc., then the gender gaps open very quickly, even for that youth labour market, including for pay. For the end of the project from that particular work package, I think we'd be looking to identify good policies that were good examples of addressing gender gaps. So, for example, in segregation, which we see is very important in shaping inequalities on the labour market, the extent to which closing down or reducing segregation between women and men early on in their careers helps address some of the gender gaps that open up in terms of access to good jobs, access to training, access to managerial responsibilities, for example. I'm also working on another work package which focuses on flexicurity. Now, flexicurity was a real buzzword for the European Commission and a number of member states maybe 5 to 6 years ago, and it's sort of lost a bit of currency, but this tension between the flexibility that young people face on the labour market and their desire for security is still very pertinent. There's a lot of work on flexicurity which is focused on macroeconomic indicators for how many people get jobs, how levels of unemployment, number of people in part-time work. And what our innovation or our new angle is to look particularly at young people and particularly at the individual outcomes. So the extent to which they feel insecure, the extent to which they have different or experience different types of flexibility. And the second contribution of this we will make to this work package is to look at the type of policies that have been addressed towards flexibility on the labour market and security on the labour market, and how they've impacted upon young people, both before the crisis, when there was this sort of golden period of flexicurity, when many countries were introducing this type of policy, during the crisis, and when flexibility or flexicurity policies should have buffered or helped keep young people on the labour market, and then thirdly, during the austerity period, where there's still significant problems on the labour market, particularly for young people. I think flexibility can be seen as just favouring the employer and managers within employing organisations, but we can look at flexibility as employee friendly and employer friendly, and they don't necessarily always have to be in tension with each other. So employee flexibility could be the right to adjust your working time, the right to change the location of your work, or for example. Whereas something that's very employer friendly flexibility would be something, for example, like 0-hour contracts, which are discussed in a number of member states now as a really rather pernicious type of contract, where people don't know from week to week how many hours they will get. Or they have very, very short hours, and they don't know if they'll get enough to actually create a sustainable job from week to week. So some kind of flexibility to reduce or to change hours can be both employer friendly if it's done in a way that just suits the employer. It can be more employee friendly if they can adjust their hours to meet their family demands or their student demands as a student. Sorry, but they don't necessarily have to be completely in tension with each other, because perhaps employee-friendly flexibility helps retain employees. And for managers, one of the biggest expense and biggest headaches for them is actually recruiting new employees. So if you've trained up people to do certain tasks and they leave because their job is no longer compatible with the rest of their life, then allowing them to just change their job a little bit but keep them saves them a huge amount of resources and allows them to continue to benefit from the investment in that in that employee. From the security side of things, we say, well, is there a tension between the security demands of employees and the security demands of employers? Yes and no. It's the same. There'll be some elements of security which would benefit greatly the employee, but others again which might be beneficial to both. So security of contract might allow the employer to invest in the employee in terms of investment in training, because there's a commitment on both sides for a continuing employment relationship. Whereas employees who know they're on a temporary contract, know they're on a short-term contract, they're constantly looking for something better. And that means that the employer is then reticent to invest, and therefore their opportunities for increased productivity, improved quality, better relations, better performance from that particular employee are potentially undermined.